Hello, everybody. I recently interviewed 8 candidates for the Mobile Engineer Intern role at my company. Today, I will be talking about my observations and sharing a few notes that might be useful for you, hopefully. For those who are new to my channel, I'm a software engineer. I use this channel to practice English by talking about software engineering topics. That's why sometimes I will need to look at the notes on my screen to not forget what I need to speak. You will also see that I make English mistakes. Okay, go back to the topic. The candidates were all last year university students, and we had only 1 hour per interview for each candidate. Inside that 1 hour, we had 4 sections. First, we talked about computer science fundamentals, things like programming concepts, OOP, data structures and algorithms, basic database knowledge, and just a few questions related to HTTP requests. In the second section, we focused on mobile and Flutter experience. I only asked very basic questions because they just worked on school project or personal projects. After that, in the third section, we did a live coding on the whiteboard. The candidates collaborated with us to solve basic programming problems and demonstrate their data structures and algorithms skills. And in the final section, the candidates could ask any questions. We try to provide as much information as possible. Um, and during the interviews, another engineer also joined and supported me to ask some additional technical questions. And here are my observations after all the interviews. First, we used English during the interviews. A few candidates were pretty good at English. These candidates obviously have a higher opportunity to be considered because they could describe their experience better. They could answer the questions with clearer explanation. This is an important part of communication skills we require because our team works with international clients. For OOP question sections, OOP just means object-oriented programming. Almost all of them could give concrete examples, but when we ask them to explain the 4 principles of OOP, only a few could explain well. I think this is understandable. The students learn OOP mostly from theory or school assignments, but real understanding actually comes from building actual projects and maintaining code over time. For HTTP knowledge, they were actually pretty okay. They knew REST methods like get, post, put, patch, delete. They could name the status codes like 200, 400, 404, or 500, and they understood how client and server communicate. But then for database related questions, all of them didn't answer well. Again, that understandable because they focus on mobile or front-end development where they really need to work with database queries. In the next part, data structures and algorithms, they could name a few popular data structures like array, list, set, and hash map, but I had the impression that they didn't really understand them deeply. For example, one candidate said that set stores items in key value format, and some of them couldn't clearly explain the differences between those data structures. I honestly expected stronger answers in this section. Okay, that was the first section. In the second section, we talked about mobile and Flutter. This was the section where all candidates didn't perform well. The reason was simple. They only worked with school projects or assignments. With those small projects, they could only work on the surface level, right? Because they lacked knowledge on the mobile and Flutter, we had to move to the next section earlier than expected. I wasn't really happy about that part because personally, I care a lot about understand the fundamentals behind the framework, not only knowing how to use it, but at the same time, I also understand that the candidates are still students, so this is acceptable. They will learn more when they join my team. In the next part, it was coding challenge section, and I was really interested in the performance of the candidates. Many of them solved the coding challenge surprisingly well. And when I say well, I don't mean just writing code. What I really impressed was how clearly they explained their thinking process. Some of them even talked about time complexity analysis during the discussion. Honestly, that's a huge improvement compared to many engineers from my generation. Students these days prepare much better for coding interviews. They practice coding problems regularly using platforms like LeetCode and get familiar with live coding much earlier. Back then, many of us, and by us, I mean engineers from my generation, didn't really prepare this way. That's probably why many older engineers like me are still nervous about live coding interviews. Okay, come back to the interview. When I asked deeper questions on the time complexity, the candidates couldn't explain very clearly, which means they may know the pattern or the formula, but not fully understand the concept of time complexity yet. And in the last section, we gave the candidates some time to ask questions. This part is actually more important than many people think. Of course, you cannot fully evaluate someone based on just a few questions and answers, but through that conversation, you can sometimes get a sense of their personality, expectations, curiosity, communication skill, and also mindset. The questions candidates ask and the way they ask them can become an important factor in the final evaluation. So, after these interviews, I would like to share a few notes for the interns and juniors engineers. Again, they are just my personal observations and point of view. You decide to keep or ignore the points. So, note number one, you should build strong fundamentals, programming concepts, data structures, and algorithms. Note number two, practice coding through real projects, not just theory. Building something real teaches you much more than only solving textbook exercises. Note number three, practice communication skills and learn how to explain technical ideas clearly. In interviews and in real jobs, communications matters a lot. Note number four, ask questions whenever you need clarification. Asking good questions is much better than making incorrect assumptions. Note number five, when you don't know something, just be honest and say, I don't know. It's okay, but don't just stop there. Show your curiosity and willingness to learn it afterward. Note number six, don't focus only on memorizing answers for the interviews. Try truly understand the why behind technologies and decisions. And note number seven, finally, the last one. Remember that interviews are not only about testing knowledge, it is also about attitude, problem solving mindset, communication, and learning potential. All right, I think that's it for today. So if you are currently an intern or junior engineer looking for opportunities, I wish you all the best. Good luck, keep learning, and I will see you in the next video.